was made by a woman who the Wall Street Journal called, get this title, the Mod Quilt Celebrity. She won a Best of Show award for this piece of work, which has a double wedding ring pattern. Can you see it? Well, she now has a series of those quilts, 12 in all, and starting next week, you can get a first-hand look at this new style of quilting.
That's right. Victoria Findlay Wolfe is here to tell us more about her quilts, which will be showing at the Wisconsin Museum of Quilts and Fiber Arts in Cedarburg, where Melissa Ralstad is the executive director. Thanks for being here, ladies.
Hi, guys.
Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
So quilting, not a lost art? How would you address people who say, wow, only my grandma knows how to quilt anymore?
Well, there's a big resurgence right now with the modern quilt movement. So there's a lot of people coming back into sort of the do-it-yourself market, really kind of picked up and getting people sewing again and making traditional modern heirlooms.
Let's talk about this. First of all, how did you get the title, in your opinion, the Mod Quilt Celebrity? What does it mean?
Well, the modern quilt community has an exhibition every 2 years called the QuiltCon.
Okay.
So it's actually called the Modern Quilt Community. So this was the quilt that won the first convention.
You're a celebrity now in the quilting world.
It's a small world, but
you'll take it, right? Tell us about this.
So my grandmother's a quilter. I'm from Minnesota originally. So
are we.
A lot of this, both of you?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So I live in New York City now. So when I was working on this quilt, and the idea of modern is really looking at traditional patterns and turning them and putting your spin on things in a new modern and traditional way. So the modern quilt looks a lot at the negative space that's happening. I was using techniques that I learned from my grandmother of piecing all her scraps together, because in the in the 40s and stuff, you didn't throw anything away, you used everything. So the way that she pieced is very much the way that I worked. And then putting my own spin on it is, how can I update it? How could I blow out a very traditional double wedding ring pattern, which reads very traditional, so I wanted to be able to bust that pattern apart a little bit and bring it up to date.
I love the back of this too. Look at this.
Can
you hold that a little bit? It's just so beautiful in the back too. Look at that. That is so cool. How'd you pick that fabric?
All of these fabrics, the printed fabrics in here, are all done by Jay McCarroll, the guy who won Project Runway, the first Project Runway.
Okay.
So these were his fabrics that he had sent me and said, what can you do with these? And so that was what started the whole process anyway, was looking at his fabrics and trying to figure out, how was I going to make them all live together and work together? And when I started slicing them apart, I started seeing, since I live in New York City, it's kind of looking like Broadway and 6th Avenue intersecting. I'm seeing some farm fields kind of going on where I came from. So that whole sort of idea of a full circle moment of coming from the farm and living in a big city kind of just happened in the design.
Beautiful colors. It really does have a modern look to it. How about the one behind you?
This one is called Greatest Possible Trust. Sorry about this stuff. And this quilt is this is a lot of the work that my grandmother did. So I was sort of using what she did and what I did, and really kind of a heavy accent on bringing in all the traditional aspects, from embroidery to there's some applique in there, and then mixing the traditional quilting and the modern quilting and really bringing those two elements together. So the whole exhibit is all about where I came from and where I am now. So it's all a little bit of twist on
Do you always use the double ring, the wedding ring?
It kind of happened by accident, because I was making this quilt and I had so many different ideas and things that kept happening within all those curves and things, and it was a much easier pattern for me to manipulate than just a square and a square. So I went from making one quilt, and now there's this whole exhibit that's at the museum.
Yeah,
so
and
we have 12 of these at the museum.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You have 12 of these, and specifically when you say these, what do you mean?
12 of the double wedding ring series that Victoria created.
Okay.
And we're very honored we're actually the first museum in the country to be showing these.
Awesome.
To show them all together.
You're right, to show them together.
Well, and that brings up a good point. You live in New York City now. You're a well-recognized quilter. Why go to the Cedarburg Museum?
It seemed like the perfect fit for me. I'm from the farm, so they're going to be hanging in a barn. I just better than this.
Right, what better
we're talking
place?
full circle moments here. This is brilliant.
Well,
it's a perfect place.
And this is also part of a larger exhibition. The entire exhibition is called Traditions, and we're thrilled to have Victoria's work. We also have the work created by a woman named Mary McElwain. And Mary McElwain operated a quilt shop in Walworth, Wisconsin, so just outside of Lake Geneva, from about 1912 until her death in 1943. So you think about this amazing entrepreneur and this quilting pioneer in the early 20th century, it was a great juxtaposition to bring her work and the work that was created by the people that were working for her with Victoria, who is a modern quilting pioneer.
Yeah.
So it was this really great combination of traditions, both old and new.
That's great. I think it's wonderful to see all these different styles. Will you use these beside hanging at some point, or will they always hang? Are they always like an art piece?
I like to make quilts that you can use, so I've already slept under this. This one already hangs on a wall. It's just the size definitely hangs, but I like to make something that's very tactile, and that's the traditional part of it. Something that's going to be used and loved, and a quilt isn't a quilt until it's been loved.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's true. My grandmother used to leave the pins in things that she quilted, though, so we lay down and wrap up, and you feel a little prick here and there. Like, oh, there's Grandma. So, all right. Well, this is great. I want to give the information so people can come out and see the exhibit. It's going on. The museum is going on. Or it's open, Wednesdays through Saturdays from 10 to 4 and Sundays from noon to 4. Mondays and Tuesdays are by appointment, but it's June 25th through October 12th. You can learn more at the website wiquiltmuseum.com, and here's the information as well. They're right on Portland Road in Cedarburg. Phone number on your screen for more information. Thanks so much, ladies.
Thank you very much.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.